In this countdown, we're diving into 10 SUVs that were killed too soon, models that deserved more time on the road but were axed before reaching their true potential. And trust me, the one sitting in the top 5 will leave you scratching your head. Let's get started. The Infiniti QX30 is the definition of a promising SUV that never got the chance to grow. Launched in 2017, this luxury subcompact was designed with youthful buyers in mind, blending sleek curves with an upscale interior that stood out in a crowded market. Underneath, it shared its platform and engine with the Mercedes-Benz GLA, which gave it European handling vibes wrapped in Japanese luxury flair. On paper, it should have been a hit. Premium styling, advanced tech, and a driving experience sharper than rivals like the Lexus UX or BMW X1. But Infiniti's biggest problem wasn't the QX30 itself, it was Infiniti. The brand's shrinking US presence and messy lineup strategy left the QX30 without marketing support, while newer crossovers like the QX50 stole the spotlight. By 2019, Infiniti quietly killed the QX30 after just 2 model years. Too short for a vehicle that could have been the start of a strong entry luxury SUV legacy. Today, it's a rare sight, and owners often describe it as one of the most underrated crossovers they've ever driven. The QX30 didn't fail because of flaws. It failed because it never got the chance to prove itself. A true case of a modern SUV gone too soon. The Kia Borrego was one of those SUVs that came at the wrong time. Launched in 2009, it was a traditional body-on-frame SUV, aimed at families who wanted 3 rows, V6 or even V8 power, and serious towing muscle. In terms of capability, the Borrego punched above its weight, rivaling Toyota's 4Runner and Ford Explorer. The cabin was surprisingly upscale for Kia at the time, and reliability proved solid. So why did it disappear so quickly? Timing. The Borrego debuted just as gas prices spiked and the financial crisis hit. Shoppers shifted away from thirsty body-on-frame SUVs toward crossovers, and Kia's gamble collapsed in less than 3 years. By 2011, it was gone from the US, even though it quietly lived on overseas as the Kia Mojave. Many enthusiasts argue the Borrego deserved a second chance, especially with today's market obsessed with rugged SUVs. If Kia had waited just a few more years, the Borrego could have been a direct rival to the Toyota Highlander or even the new wave of adventure SUVs. Instead, it remains a forgotten gem that never had its shot in the spotlight. The Volkswagen Touareg had everything it needed to succeed. Launched in the early 2000s, it shocked buyers with real off-road ability, refined German engineering, and even a crazy V10 diesel option. Underneath, it shared much with the Audi Q7 and Porsche Cayenne, but carried a VW badge and a more approachable price tag. By its second generation, the Touareg was loaded with premium touches, advanced safety tech, air suspension, and an interior that felt far more luxury than mainstream. It was a hidden gem for buyers who wanted Audi-level comfort without the Audi logo. Yet in 2017, VW ended its US run. The company shifted focus to the Atlas and Tiguan, chasing volume instead of refinement. Overseas, the Touareg lived on, growing into an even more premium SUV packed with tech American buyers never saw. Its death in the US felt premature. The Touareg wasn't a sales star, but it gave Volkswagen something unique, a capable, luxurious SUV that could compete above its class. Ending it so early was less about the vehicle and more about corporate strategy, making the Touareg a perfect example of an SUV killed too soon. Chevrolet tried to crack the compact SUV market with the Captiva, but the experiment ended quickly in North America. Originally designed for other global markets, GM brought it over as a stopgap crossover, mainly to fill rental fleets rather than family driveways. That decision alone set the tone. Shoppers saw it as a budget Chevy rather than a serious alternative to the Equinox, and sales never gained real traction. On paper, the Captiva wasn't awful. It offered decent cargo room, available all-wheel drive, and a choice of 4 or 6-cylinder engines. But its dated design, thin interior quality, and lack of refinement made it feel out of step with rivals like the Honda CR-V and Toyota RAV4. Reliability also wasn't its strong suit, which only added to its uphill battle. By 2018, Chevy quietly pulled the Captiva from the US without much fanfare. Today, it's remembered more as a fleet filler than a true player in the segment. Still, some enthusiasts argue the Captiva could have evolved into a stronger contender if GM had invested properly. Instead, it faded before ever really proving itself. When Buick launched the Encore in 2013, it was a bold move. A tiny luxury SUV in a market obsessed with bigger crossovers? Surprisingly, it worked, at least for a while. Buyers loved the high seating position, quiet cabin, and premium touches in a compact footprint. It gave Buick a younger audience and sales momentum the brand desperately needed. The problem was timing. The Encore arrived just before the subcompact SUV craze truly exploded, and Buick never pushed it beyond its comfort zone. Its 1.4-liter turbo engine was serviceable but underwhelming, and the cabin, while quiet, felt cramped compared to newer rivals. As competitors like the Mazda CX-30 and Hyundai Kona raised the bar in style and performance, the Encore quickly started to feel dated. By 2022, Buick pulled the plug in the US, shifting focus to the slightly larger Encore GX. Some say the original Encore paved the way for today's premium small SUVs, but it left the stage just as the segment it helped spark was catching fire. The Toyota CHR was supposed to be Toyota's bold entry into the edgy subcompact SUV scene. Its design turned heads, sharp angles, coupe-like roofline, and hidden rear door handles gave it an almost concept car vibe. Unfortunately, the daring style didn't translate into lasting success in the US. Despite Toyota's reputation for dependability, the CHR suffered from two glaring flaws: no available all-wheel drive and a lackluster powertrain. In a segment where buyers expect versatility and fun-to-drive dynamics, Toyota gave them a quirky front-wheel drive crossover that was more about looks than substance. The cramped rear seat and small cargo area didn't help its case either. By 2022, Toyota quietly pulled the plug in North America, even though the model continued overseas. It's a classic example of a car that had personality but missed the key ingredients American buyers wanted. With the Corolla Cross stepping in as a more practical option, the CHR ended up being more of a design experiment than a long-term contender. Few SUVs carry as much history as the Jeep Cherokee, and when the KL generation launched in 2014, it split opinions instantly. The polarizing front-end styling was a shock compared to Jeep's boxy heritage, and while it offered modern tech and multiple 4x4 systems, many traditional Jeep fans weren't sold. On the road, the Cherokee was comfortable enough, but reliability issues with the 9-speed automatic transmission and electronics stained its reputation. It had solid off-road capability, especially in Trailhawk trim, but it struggled to stand out in a crowded mid-size crossover field dominated by the Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, and Ford Escape. By 2023, Jeep discontinued the model altogether, leaving a gap in their lineup that hasn't been fully filled. For some, the Cherokee KL was underrated, a rugged alternative with true off-road DNA. But for most, it felt like a compromised middle child caught between Jeep's hardcore off-roaders and the daily driver crowd. A nameplate with deep roots, cut short before it could fully evolve. Mazda's CX-3 was supposed to be the stylish, fun-to-drive alternative in the crowded subcompact crossover segment. It had sharp handling, a sleek design, and Mazda's signature upscale interior touches that felt almost premium for its class. Yet, despite those strengths, the CX-3 struggled in the US market. The biggest issue? Space, or the lack of it. Rear passenger room and cargo capacity were both painfully small compared to rivals like the Honda HR-V and Hyundai Kona. That made it tough to justify as a family-friendly SUV, which is what most buyers wanted. By 2021, Mazda quietly replaced it with the slightly larger and far more practical CX-30. In truth, the CX-3 never got the full recognition it deserved. It had agility and character rarely found in small crossovers, but practicality always wins in this segment. For driving enthusiasts, losing the CX-3 was disappointing, because few entry-level SUVs could make a grocery run feel like a joyride. The Santa Fe XL was a bit of an oddball in Hyundai's lineup, a three-row SUV that existed mostly to bridge the gap between the outgoing Santa Fe and the incoming Palisade. With seating for 7, it offered families an affordable way into a larger SUV without going full size. But its timing was terrible. The Palisade launched almost immediately after, stealing the spotlight with a more modern design, upscale interior, and stronger features. That left the Santa Fe XL feeling outdated before it had a chance to build an audience. Mechanically, it was reliable and competent, powered by a 3.3-liter V6 with decent towing capacity. Yet, it never gained traction in the market, disappearing after just one model year. Today, it's a forgotten gem, practical, underrated, and far less expensive on the used market than its big brother, the Palisade. Hyundai didn't kill it because it was bad. It killed it because it got overshadowed. The Ford Edge didn't just fade away, it was pulled from the US lineup while still holding strong in other markets. Introduced as a mid-size 2-row SUV, the Edge hit a sweet spot for buyers who wanted more space than an Escape, but didn't need the bulk of an Explorer. It offered a comfortable ride, strong EcoBoost engines, and an ST trim, real performance credentials. The 2024 Edge still had fans who appreciated its balance of practicality and driving dynamics. So why kill it? The answer lies in Ford's strategy shift. With the rise of EVs and global focus on models like the electric Explorer and Chinese-built Edge L, Ford decided the US market no longer needed the original Edge. It wasn't a failure by any means, sales were solid, but Ford's future vision left no room for it. In many ways, the Edge represents how corporate decisions, not consumer demand, often decide the fate of SUVs. And that wraps up our countdown of 10 SUVs that were killed too soon. Some of these models deserved more time to prove themselves, while others were simply ahead of their era. Which of these SUVs do you think deserved a second chance on the market? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the cars we love, and sometimes lose too early.